My name is Frances Surmon, and I believe in the importance of knowing your values. When I came to the college school in kindergarten, I learned a majority of my values from my family, like working as a team, compromise, and of course, the importance of family. As I grew at the college school, from kindergarten to now, my teachers and classmates, the education I've received, and the many life-changing experiences have helped me to discover and strengthen my values. As I continued through the grades at TCS, I learned to value having tough conversations and resolving conflicts. Care circles and courageous conversations were built into the curriculum. And although I didn't particularly love spending afternoons having these care circles, I am forever thankful for the conflict resolution skills I've been practicing since kindergarten. As I prepared for sixth grade wilderness, I knew I would be pushing myself in many different ways, whether it was spending a night alone in the woods or rappelling off from Canada Bluff. What I didn't know is that I would be faced with a situation where I chose to use my value of working out issues that I learned from the college school. It was the first day, and we were all putting on our PFDs and getting ready to canoe to our first campsite. Me and my friend Kate decided we wanted to be canoe partners. We both had a fair amount of experience, and we weren't too nervous about the slight waves out on the lake. But once we were out on the water, and Kate's hat was blown off her head and into the water due to the wind, we realized we should have been nervous. The waves seemed a lot bigger than they did when we were on land, and no matter how hard we paddled, we continued to move backwards. As our stress levels heightened, we began to have a conflict. In the end, we somehow paddled back to shore, so we were sitting in the exact same place where we started, which was quite an accomplishment. In the end, we tried new canoe partners and somehow made it to our first campsite, but we both knew we still needed to talk. Not only did Kate and I work it out, but we had an amazing time together and made memories I will never forget. If we both hadn't valued the importance of having tough conversations and resolving conflicts, who knows where we would be today. And since then, we have gotten back into a canoe together. We had a great time, and we managed to move forwards, not backwards. The college school has also taught me just how important it is to give back to your community. As I came into 7th grade, I knew I wanted to be a junior leader, and I knew that was one of my ways of giving back to my TCS community. Over my time at the college school, I have had an amazing time on every trip I have been on, and in middle school, I felt the responsibility to help other students have an amazing time too. I just recently had the opportunity to go on first grade campout. It was the second day, and we were hiking to the top of Mount Baldy, and one of my hiking buddies was having a particularly hard time. The trail was extremely muddy from the recent rain, and she was wearing water shoes. At one point, she lost her footing and stumbled, causing her feet and shoes to become covered in mud. It was hard for her to bounce back from this. On the way down, I asked her if she enjoyed campout. She told me no, because her feet were covered in mud and she missed her parents. We continued to talk and brainstormed some of her favorite parts of the trip. And by the time we had reached the bottom of the hike, she had changed her mind. She had enjoyed first grade campout. If TCS hadn't helped me to realize just how important it is to give back to your community, I may not have had the opportunity to help this girl realize just how amazing her campout really was. I wouldn't have been able to watch sixth grade students return from solo night, proud and excited, with so many stories to share from their night. Or I wouldn't have been part of the goodbye circle as first graders embarked on their first adventure of many, just as I was coming to my last. TCS has been a safe and supportive place for me to learn and express my values. An experience on the New Orleans trip this year taught me just how important it is to hold on to your values in situations where others' values clash with yours. There has been recent controversy in New Orleans due to the city council voting to remove statues of Confederate leaders that are up around the city. As to many, they are a symbol of racism, and many feel that these monuments, are celebrating white supremacy. On one of our last nights in New Orleans, we were walking back to our hostel after a wonderful day in the city. As we stepped off the streetcar, we noticed a group of protesters protesting the removal of a statue just across the street. Many held Confederate flags. This was especially hard to see because the values of those who were protesting clashed so heavily with mine. My family, teachers, and education have strengthened my values of equality, social justice, and diversity and inclusion. These are some of my strongest values. My education has taught me that the statues and the values they celebrate have a negative effect on the community. I have learned all about systemic racism and housing and education. When I see Confederate flags, I see their history and what they represent. As we continued our walk to our hostel, many of our minds were still on what we had just seen. We had a class discussion about the protesters and the statues in New Orleans. Something I've learned from the college school is that it is our duty as citizens of this community to have important conversations. We couldn't have just moved on and went on with the rest of our trip because those conversations are not only important, but a vital step in working to achieve equality or simply settling a conflict after a canoe ride. Now and in the future, when I face situations similar to the moment in New Orleans, I know just how important it is to give my values are in deciding how I act on that situation. Maybe it's by having conversations with people who hold differing values than I do. Or maybe it's by raising awareness for an issue and speaking out. Whatever it may be, I know that my values will guide me, and that's what's important. Thank you.